Today, we are going to be taking a look at one of my biggest to date nonprofit Webflow website builds. This is for a charitable organization called the Charlie Landers Foundation. It was formed in honor of Charlie Landers, who unfortunately died of a very rare pediatric cancer called Ewing sarcoma when he was just a teenager. The goal of the nonprofit is to raise funds and support cutting-edge research to ultimately find a cure for the pediatric cancer that is Ewing's sarcoma. Now, very important to note that this rare form of pediatric cancer has a very low 5-year survival rate, about 10% or so, and it is extremely rare. Only about 350 individuals per year are diagnosed with it. And so that is part of the problem, so to speak, whereas it's such a rare disease and it is just so uncommon that it doesn't get a lot of attention and or funding. And so that was one of the main reasons why the organization was set up in the first place, is to raise awareness about this pediatric cancer and then, of course, ultimately find a cure. So that's what the goal here is. This client came to me via a referral with another nonprofit group I had worked in. So this organization is based in the area where I grew up, northern New Jersey. So we did have that local connection, and it was a full website redesign. At the time when they first engaged me for this project, they did have a website. It was built using WordPress and the page building tool Elementor. It had supported the organization in its early stages. After about, I think they were active for about a year or so by the time they had reached out for me, they were ready to take things to the next level. One of the big things about this project was that we did need to refresh the brand. So there was a good amount of brand design done in terms of the strategy as well as the color scheme, which you can already get a quick preview here. It is a very colorful website and one of my favorite designs that I have put together in my short career to date, because I just love how bold and colorful and playful the color scheme is. We'll go into more detail regards to that in the second here. So it was a quick rebrand, finalizing and putting into concrete words what the client's brand strategy was, even though they already had a fairly solid idea of that. By the time they came to hire me, I just helped them formalize it, so to speak, with some different branding documents and workshops we did together. It was more of a visual identity rebrand. Before they came to me, they didn't have this color palette at all, so this was something I helped them work off of. And then last but not least, I worked with the president of the organization, Lisa Landers. She was the main client point of contact and the marketing leader, director of the organization as well. By the time they had come to me, they had already been very successful, primarily through small dollar donations. So people donating directly to the organization, as well as funds that the organization was able to raise via various fun events throughout northern New Jersey to support Ewing sarcoma. So when they come to me, they wanted to raise awareness about the grant funding they were doing. So they're taking direct donations and sending that over to medical researchers, whoever qualifies for these grants. So that was something they wanted to raise more awareness on. And then another thing was that they were looking to eventually move towards being able to land large corporate sponsorships. This project, when we first engaged, was about 2 or so years ago. Ever since, I've been their main point of contact, helping them update and manage the website, as well as doing quarterly marketing reviews and things of that nature. They have landed 2 major sponsorships with corporate donors. So that is huge. I guess I played a very small part in that. So I want to take you through the project now. Let's get right into it. Why don't I just show you what the proposal looked like? I feel like that'll be a good way to give you a quick overview here. So basically, like I said, it was like brand strategy workshop we were going to do. Then we were going to go into the UX design of the website. I was going to handle all the copywriting. Then we were going to go into the UI design and then development in Webflow. This is what the process looks like. And then you can see here, these were the different deliverables. So the branding was fairly straightforward. I was helping them outline who their key avatars were, doing some color scheme research, because I remember they had the yellow already, but there wasn't a whole lot else of it. And I feel like when yellow is overdone, it doesn't look good. But that's why we introduced the blues to really complement and bring out the yellow, as you'll see here in a second. You'll see all the different pages of the site here. It was a pretty substantial website. Some of these pages are more simple than others. I'll be running you through the main ones here. And I mocked up several of the pages to give them a quick overview of what it would look like. So they were able to fully preview the website in the UI design phase. Let's get right into it. This project first started off with what I call a growth marketing roadmap. Basically, you could think of it as the brand strategy and website strategy portion of the project, essentially the strategy phase. And the idea was for me to present the strategy for the new website going forward. And then if they agreed with the strategy I had developed, then we would move on to a full website engagement. So this was just a presentation. I started by auditing their current website. I feel like it's important for clients to know where they're starting out and what exactly the pitfalls of their current website are. That way, they're going to understand better why we're doing all the things we're doing later on in the design and development phases. I just pointed out what I thought about the overall branding, the copy effectiveness of the website, which I always like to emphasize because to me, it's the design of the website that is going to draw people in, but ultimately it is the words that are going to get them to take action and actually convert on the website. And in this case, those conversions are going to be signing up for events, donating to the organization, and for the medical researchers, applying for grants on the website. This is going over the UX responsiveness. As you can see here, this was their website. It's a basic elementary website. Then we have the speed tests I ran. They were not doing so well, and I explained to them why website speed is important, and then I give them a quick overview of the technical performance. Then we went into more about what their current SEO rankings were. This was again like 2.5 years or so ago. These days, I'm not very bullish on SEO. I've made videos about that in the past. Then I also did some research into their key competitors who they had told me about. And this was another reason why I ended up eventually suggesting a much more bold, colorful color palette, because yellow is the primary color that many of the nonprofits who are working towards raising funds and research dollars for pediatric Ewing sarcoma cancer use. So on one hand, it was important to continue on using the yellow because that just goes to show people, especially corporate donors, that this is a Ewing Sarcoma Foundation. But I did want to expand on the color palette to make the brand more memorable and unique. I gave them a quick overview of the organization. There was really only one competitor we were super concerned about, the bar to strive for, but there were other organizations. You'll see this one's in the UK, several other organizations already in the space. So that made it much more important to have a very strong, engaging visual brand identity. And we looked at some other websites that I thought were good inspiration, and then this was my recommendations in terms of next steps and how I can help them out. They wanted to move forward right away with the project. As part of this project, we did a story brand workshop. I've done videos on this in the past. This is what I like to do for clients who, whether it's for timeline reasons or budget reasons, they don't need a full rebranding package, but they need just like a quick branding exercise to come up with some client avatars, which makes writing a copy of the website in the next phase so much easier. Unless you have a very clear idea of who is going to be on the website and what their unique pain points, motivations, concerns are, if you don't know who you're talking to, it's going to be very hard to write compelling copy that addresses the things you need to address. And then this will serve as the copywriting guide so we can tell a coherent story across the entire website, as well as all the other marketing materials the nonprofit is working on, social media, PDFs, flyers, things of that nature. This is the story brand workshop. I explained to them why it's so important to have a story and about how this is unique for the nonprofit. Let's get into the design phase here, starting with the color schemes. I knew right away we were going to need to have a very bold, eye-catching color scheme. I thought that was a really great way to stand out. The client had communicated to me that, well, yes, they did want to improve the design and make something look much more professional, high-end, and sleek. They also did not want to get away from their like mom and pop, local, homegrown feel. So that was a key consideration as I was coming up with the color scheme and the fonts. We wanted something clean, professional, bold, colorful, playful. However, we didn't want it to be overly polished to lose that initial spark that had led the organization to so much success. That is why I thought it was really important to come up with these colors here. So as you can see here, I was playing around with these colors. This was the current yellow, as you can see here, and then I just lightened it up, and then I came up with these two blues to complement the yellow very well. You can see I was also playing around with some different color schemes and visualizing that here. But ultimately, I felt that these more flatter colors compared to these gradients was going to be a bit more timeless and also, in my view, a bit more bold as well. So we accomplished two birds with two stones here. And then especially what I liked about these colors is that the organization is based in northern New Jersey, so the Northeast. And to me, these colors are very much a pattern interrupt. It's almost like you would think that the organization is based in the LA metro area versus the New York metro area. I thought that was just a nice way to break out of the mold. But then it was time to go into the wireframing step. This was before I was using Rayloom, the Rayloom component library. I was using this Webflow design framework called Systemflow. Very basic, very rudimentary in comparison to what I'm working with now, but honestly, got the job done. So you can see these were the initial wireframes. So we were going to have a mission page, a team page for all the different board members and the medical advisors, as well as the regular team members. We were going to have more information on the medical advisory board, a team of doctors that advise the organization on how to allocate its funds towards grants. So it really does add a much more professional, prestigious aspect to the organization. Then we have a simple donation page, contact page, main events page, the Charlie Stories page, the home page, the grants page, and then the comfort kits page, which I will also talk about. Basically, those are kits that they create to then deliver to hospitals. So these were the initial designs I came up with. So you will see we have that really bold, vibrant blue color here. And then you can see we're using the font Futura, which is probably one of the top 5 best fonts ever. Very classic font. Can't go wrong with it. I think it adds a very modern yet professional look to the website, but also has a good amount of character in a very minimalist type of manner. So you can see here we're really leaning into the color scheme, and then we wanted to tell the story right away. This is where the story brand workshop ended up being very helpful, because this was the storytelling aspect in terms of how many people are diagnosed with this cancer. The last drug wasn't even approved in over 30 years. And then the long-term survival rate here. You can see here we're using that bold blue, but then we're also toning things down and complementing things with this light blue in the back. Then we have whites, and then we have this dark blue and the yellows. So I really do like this color scheme. This is probably my favorite color scheme I've ever come up with for a website. You can see how on pages where we can be a bit more playful, like the Comfort Kits page and the home page, we're really leaning into the bold color scheme. But on pages where it might be a bit more serious, we're going with these light blues here. So the color scheme, and then as well as the different shades of the colors as well that came into play here, leaves a lot of room for being very creative on certain pages to be bold and attention grabbing, whereas other pages where there's going to be corporate donors or medical professionals, we're able to tone it down and still have a very professional angle. That is fantastic here. And then do note that we broke up this website build into 2 distinct phases. The first phase was just the key pages that the client wanted to add for launch, and the second phase was about a year after or so, or maybe 6 to 9 months after. That was just to add more pages to the website. Some of these really nice to have pages, but not necessarily essential for launch. You'll see the community page. We have an impact page going over how much money the organization has raised to date and the events they're putting on. And then a bunch of different forum pages for corporate sponsors to get in touch, volunteers to get in touch. We also created these mega menus. One of the things we had looked at in terms of competitor research was that a lot of these organizations over time had their navigation become cluttered. So to avoid that, we created these mega menus so you can see them directly. It's like a visual component to the website navigation. As the website grew, it's much easier to find all of that information. So now let's look at the live website. There are a couple bells and whistles I want to point your attention to. You can see this is similar to the wireframes we were looking at. You can see this website's got some character as we have the strikeout emoji. You'll notice the mouse here has this little baseball icon. The organization is named after Charlie Landers. He grew up playing baseball. So baseball is the main theme of the website. Baseball elements throughout the design. You can see that was done here, not overly in your face, but one idea I did have right before we were about to go to launch was to have this cursor be a baseball. This adds a very unique touch. Definitely adds to that mom and pop homegrown feel for the website. What I like about this is that we always have the baseball theme present. The mouse icon is always front and center. Then we have these cool cards. So when you hover over it, they have these little effects here, as you can see, the scaling effect. And this is just links where people can quickly navigate to areas where they may be interested. So events, for example, grant information, direct donations, comfort kits, sponsorships, So you can see here that the organization has been very successful. These are the different hospitals they're involved with in terms of delivering the comfort kits. We have a newsletter, CTA, and a donate button. So you can see the homepage here. We really tell the story, and then we're giving people different ways to navigate to other key areas of the website. In this section, we reworked it from launch as part of phase 2. We wanted to tell the story in terms of the current state of Ewing sarcomas, and then we're using these numbers to illustrate the story. But then you'll also see we're doing this horizontal scroll section, which I'm a big fan of as long as you use it sparingly. But what I like about this section is that it snaps people out of the monotonous scrolling from top to bottom of a page, and this really forces their attention. So that's why I proposed this to the clients, and they were a big fan. One of the big key things of this website were the event they wanted to really highlight and make front and center. This is the events and fundraisers page. We have a quick overview of what they can expect this year and all the upcoming events. You'll see the dates here. Then we have past events, which serve as photo galleries for some of the past events. You can see the organization has become very well known in the local area. They even got former New York Giants head coach Tom Coughlin to show up for one of their events. Being a big Giants fan, that was cool to see. So basically, these event pages are all managed in the Webflow CMS. You can see we have a quick event overview section, event details where they can register, and then we have a photo gallery built with the Webflow CMS, and then we have more upcoming related events towards the bottom of the page. So I ended up managing this for the clients, but basically the events are built in with the Webflow CMS. If you're another nonprofit with a dedicated marketing team, this makes it super easy for the developer to design and build the template in Webflow, and then the marketing team, or even if you just have one marketing employee, is able to easily go in and manage these events. Same goes for press features that we have here. Same goes for the different blog posts and the different team members. Everyone has their own little section here of the website. Very easy to update content dynamically that way. So let's take a look at some of the other key pages here. You can see here, this is the mega menu in effect. For example, we can take a look at the team, and you can see different team members all managed within the Webflow CMS. So this makes it super easy to add new people as needed, and then edit people. You can see here, these are the different doctors associated with the organization. You'll see we have a dual CTA section. One item here obviously is going to be the donate. This donation widget is managed by GiveButter. That's the service the organization is using to get donations and have certain events run. So you can see we have a very interactive donation widget, very helpful for people to make that donation right there on the website. Then we have the comfort kit funding. These are kits that the organization delivers to hospital patients suffering from Ewing sarcoma. The client wanted to highlight this because this is part of the organization's mission in terms of bringing joy to other children, young adults, teenagers, adolescents who are suffering from this disease in hospitals. This is meant to lift up their day, bring them joy, and then we have a quick testimonial and some information on what's included. This was key to add to the website because we wanted to give people the ability to sponsor comfort kits directly. Ultimately, the organization eventually landed their own partnership with Peanuts Worldwide, which is behind the Charlie Brown IP, and basically they help sponsor it, and now there's a bunch of Charlie Brown themed items in the comfort kits as well. This was key to their mission of wanting to be able to land corporate sponsorships, and very happy the organization's been able to do that. And then we have a logo grid of different hospitals the organization has been donating to for the comfort kits. For social proof, people can either donate or sponsor one directly here. So we've gone over the events, we've gone over the homepage. Then we have these different forms pages. This was the phase 2 build here, just giving people different ways to get involved. One of the things they wanted to do was empower other organizations, families of people going through the disease with their child, to host their own fundraiser event. So this is information on what that would look like, some ideas. They can inquire for information by filling out this form, and then the president of the organization will get back to them. Last but not least, let's talk about the grants. The grants page is information on what it would take for medical researchers to apply for grants to fund Ewing sarcoma research. We have some social proof here, a testimonial of a doctor who spoke at one of their events, and then we just have a bit more information what we funded in the past. We have a specific grant application page, so this is what this looks like. This I helped them put together, so we just have a cool dynamic effect with these photos. And then note that their latest grant is funded by the Jordan Spieth Family Foundation. It's a professional golfer, and it is that golfer's Jordan Spieth's foundation. So this again was huge for being able to grow the visibility of the organization and help them land those key corporate sponsorships. So the client said they wanted to really add some pizzazz to this one. So I really did my best to create a nice, compelling design. It's not just some boring form. The color scheme as well, which really does the heavy lifting. Then all the application info here. And then they're also able to apply directly on the website by uploading a PDF file. This required some third-party integration that I helped the client with a while back. This was helpful because in the past they were getting submissions via email, and all the submission information was different because there was no form just to standardize all the information they were going to need, and then it was just a mess back and forth trying to get the last details. So this has really helped them streamline things operationally. And so yeah, that is pretty much the website project. I've continued to work with this client on an ongoing basis ever since we launched the website. Then we did the phase 2 build, add on some of these other pages here and the new menu, and then we have the entire time continued to keep working. So I've been on hand to help them add, update, and remove events and things of that nature. I hope this video has been informative for you, whether you're a fellow Webflow developer or marketing strategist who is going to be working with a nonprofit client, or you are a nonprofit who is looking to refresh their brand and maybe even build a new website. Now, if that does describe you, if you are a nonprofit director or maybe president, whoever you are in the nonprofit space, if you are looking to work with a full stack independent marketing strategist and you really got a lot of value out of this video and you would like to pick my brain on the current state of your organization's brand and website, book a call with me. I would love to learn about your organization and help you plan a branding, web design and development, and ongoing marketing roadmap so your organization can grow its awareness and achieve its goals. So would love to talk to you. Link in the description if you want to learn a bit more about what that entails. Otherwise, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye.